Have you ever had a sketchbook that's been with you for the past couple of years and yet you just can't seem to finish it? Well, that's what's been going on with me. So I've decided to give it my all and finally finish the last pages of this sketchbook. We've had a good run together, this sketchbook and I, but I owe her her complete set of pages. This week, I intend to draw my way to the final page. The last couple of days have been a compilation of cool mist, rain, and wind as the remnants of Tropical Storm Ophelia pass through. And in general, it feels as though it's been raining every single weekend here in the Northeast. But I don't mind it too much, as the moody weather is my favorite for curling up with a good book. Lucky for me, I have one extra four-legged companion this week to curl up with. Today is Chewy's final day of being dog sat before his parents pick him up tonight. A tentative truce has been reached between the dogs and the cats in the name of shared comfort. Look at Chewy, an icon for us all. And because she is a wonderful host, Sumi has decided to provide us with some fresh biscuits to go with the tea. Newly biscuited, let's get down to some sketchbooking, shall we? The sketchbook has been with me since the middle of 2021. The pages are a bit on the thinner side, but very satisfying to sketch on. This recent spread is one of my favorites. One page is inspired by the little school kids you see being walked on a group leash. The opposite page was inspired by my read of Piranesi. Firing up the old Pinterest references, I'll be working on a color pencil study of this photo. There's something about colorful buzz cuts that really makes me want to draw them. In other news, today breaks my 7-day caffeine fast. Why would I ever take a break from caffeine, you might ask? Well, it was a little experiment on my part to see how it would impact my energy levels throughout the day. And I'm very disappointed to report that without caffeine, my sleep has been glorious. 9 to 10 hours with the addition of a magnesium supplement. And the long, complex dreams that I used to have made a comeback. Why is it that the things that you don't want to do are the ones that will ultimately make you happier? It's dinner time here in the Salt household. One quick one-pot meal before I take Chewy on his last walk before his parents pick him up. Another day, another sketchbook spread. But can we please check out the pillow that Chewy's parents picked up for me? Kinda reminds me of someone I know. Well, it happened again. Oh, God. Sumi found another water bug. At least this time it was firmly not alive. Naturally, I had to document it in my morning pages. The other day, I went to visit a friend working from an art studio in Williamsburg, one of the highlights of which being the chocolate croissant at Radio Bakery, but the other being my visit to Yoseka Stationery. If you've never been, it's a shop that specializes entirely in selling beautiful stationery. Really, I was in search of a planner for 2024, but also a beautiful notebook that would incentivize me to write morning pages. It's an exercise that I briefly practiced years ago after reading The Artist's Way. So far, it's been a meditative way of recording my thoughts and my day-to-day goings-on. Simi is supportive as ever, as you can see. I could really see her being a great personal trainer, but she says it would really cut into her nap times. In addition to trying to complete my sketchbook this week, I have 2 client jobs. Pardon me while I catch up on the article that I'm illustrating for. Although I have a few chores to attend to today, the plan is to get together with a friend later for sketch night. We'll be drawing at her place, but first, sustenance. As it turns out, the digital life drawing class that we usually attend was canceled due to an emergency of the models. So instead, we put on some Netflix in the background and drew our own things during that. That means another color pencil study. This one working with a lot of lemony yellows and crisp blues. Not a color combo I normally reach for, so this one will be a fun exploration.
Is it a cartoon?
And a big crier.
I love the way you've blended.
Whoa.
As much as I love the moody, misty weather, especially for reading, I'm grateful for the sun today. Its rays stretch further and further into the living room at this time of year, the longest they get being December 21st. Simi can't be happier than when she rolls around and grooms herself in the sun. Well, maybe she can during mealtime. Here's how the spread we worked on last night looks in the sunlight. I think the neons really pop. Just adding color to the spread I also worked on last night. One thing I've recently read is Roaming by Mariko and Jillian Tamaki. If you don't know them, where the heck have you been, Loca? The two are a killer author-illustrator combo, having worked on Skim and This One Summer together. Their new graphic novel follows the exploits of 3 college-age girls who visit New York together during the early aughts. Like with any girls' trip in which not everyone has traveled together before, tensions soon grow due to the girls' different personalities and contrasting desires. The graphic novel treats its characters with a lot of warmth and humor, exploring each of their flaws with compassion. It's a fun way to relive the New York City that I grew up in, as well as a reminder of what it felt like to be in my early 20s. For the most part, I don't really miss it. I'm also a huge Jillian Tamaki stan in general, and it goes without saying that the artwork and paneling of the comic are gorgeous. While the format is largely a traditional paneled grid, sometimes the comic breaks away or provides larger moments of space to give the narrative some more breathing room, or create a moment that is more immersive. While my aim when reading this was to take my time, I ended up reading the 400-pager in one sitting. I'm just happy to include it in my comic shelf for future readings. Now that the spread's complete, I should mention I've really been needing a new lens. My current one gives my camera a lot of error messages, which makes for a choppy filming experience. Since for once it's bright and sunny, let's head to B&H. What can I say? It's an electronics mecca. And the most fun part is waiting for your items to scoot down the little conveyor belts on the ceiling. After picking up my lens, I headed to a cafe close by where I was able to work on a few client sketches before heading back to see my girl. One last spread for today. According to my increasingly spam-laden inbox, a book that I had reserved is now ready to be picked up at the library. So let's go for a little walk. One of my favorite things to do in the fall is walk around the Clinton Hill neighborhood and look at the architecture. I'm not quite sure what this style is known as, but much of it feels Victorian. Either way, it really sets the mood for spooky season. Come with me on a brief interlude in which I visit friends in Baltimore and Richmond. Our first stop is Moose's Crib in Baltimore, along with the trip to the dog park, of course. Next stop is in Richmond, in particular the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. Oh, there's dogs over there. Not only did it have a great sculpture garden, but the interior was pretty impressive, with a large collection of contemporary juxtaposed with older art. Not to mention the Fabergé eggs. Farm bug. After a restock of some fresh produce, we also stopped at a local nursery where the prices tend to be much friendlier than those in New York City. Why is it that I find doing errands with friends so much fun? How can we as a society normalize doing errands together? Pesto here thinks about these questions often. Now that I'm back from my trip, this week I'll be looking after my parents' dog, Sammy. She's really come around from her anti-cat policy and adopted an older sibling attitude towards Sumi, who prefers to goof around. While I was away, I learned that I'd been accepted to table at a little art market pop-up in Bushwick. So this week, a few prints I've ordered have come in. I ordered this one as a 10 by 14 inch from Cat Prints, along with an old fan art of Gigi from Kiki's Delivery Service, as well as a few other prints based on past personal work. And lastly, some stickers. They're all in the same color scheme, but they each share the theme of ordinary objects such as food and shoes, mixed with a little bit of the more fantastical, like celestial bodies and space. This will be my first time ever tabling, so I'll need a few supplies. But hey, it's a 40-minute train ride to the nearest Daiso. I'm sure Sammy would like to come, but I'm putting her in charge of her younger cousin. The nearest Daiso is located in Industry City, also known as Japan Village. It's sort of a glorified mall, but somehow more fun. After picking up a bunch of supplies at Daiso, I headed to Here to Sunday in Gowanus. If you're ever in the neighborhood, I highly recommend a visit. Tons of super cute merch, and the owner hosts a quarterly artist show inside the shop. Currently on display is Irene Falio's work in a series called Kaharian, meaning kingdom in Tagalog. Such lush shapes and colors. Back at home, and let's see my haul. You've got a tablecloth, perfect for covering tables, a clear case to put scissors and tape in, a classic wooden dish rack to hold postcards, a tiny easel to display a larger print, high shoes to offer to customers, of course, a mini chalkboard, perhaps for displaying prices, and a clear acrylic platform to either raise items up or to house prints. All said and done, my purchases amounted to less than $30, so not bad. Admittedly, I didn't record a lot of footage while tabling, but all things said and done, my first tabling experience was a lot of fun. It was the first time the organizer had run this type of event, so it had a bit of a rocky start setting up. But most tablers were understanding and patient about it. Eventually, we all worked together to determine a tabling arrangement. And once all of the tables were set up, there was enough foot traffic that it wasn't super slow. But the best part about it was probably getting to know the other artists and speaking to people who stopped by my table. It was a small but very chill event, perfect for a first-timer like me. At one point, 6 of my friends showed up at the same moment, completely unplanned, serving food, drink, and conversation, as well as giving me a chance to use the bathroom. It was totally unexpected, and I felt super appreciative and filled with gratitude. While I didn't manage to break even on what I spent for inventory, I hope to sell the rest of it at a bigger, busier event sometime. It feels strange to keep drawing my silly little drawings sometimes, with so much going on in the world. I'm trying to stay apprised of the situation in Gaza. The truth of the matter is, I knew next to nothing about the conflict but a few weeks ago. However, as a human in this global community, I feel a duty at the very least to bear witness to the lives lost. And it seems evident to me now that there is no true peace without freedom for all. My opinion may mean next to nothing, and I'm sure you've developed your own. But I'm grateful to all the creators and documenters who continue to educate despite the grief and peril that surrounds them. And I continue to hope that they and their loved ones remain safe. Anyway, I'll leave some educational links in the description box, as well as places to aid. And with that, I'll get back to living my silly little life. One nap later, and I'm ready to draw again. You may have already noticed this little guy in the corner of my studio, but yes, this was a recent office purchase. Hello, office furniture write-offs. And yes, I'm one of those freaks that like to color code their books into a rainbow. The book situation in my apartment was getting a bit dicey, with books quickly overtaking whatever pre-existing shelves I had. I've been eyeing this one for almost a year over at Design Within Reach, and recently decided to take advantage of a semi-annual sale they were having. I sort of didn't realize how many books I have, but if you're interested in an art book tour, let me know. I ended up deciding on this warm tomato red for the bookcase because I like how pink and red look together and thought it would complement my pink wall nicely. I actually had a lot of fun assembling it. The directions were super clear and the packaging top-notch. The way it works is that there's an inner column, much like a spinal cord, and each of the shelves are slid onto it during assembly, a bit like vertebrae. Anyway, if you couldn't already tell, I'm very pleased with it. Typically, with larger purchases, such as furniture, I get irrationally nervous when it comes down to actually buying the thing. Does this ever happen to you? It's not so much the price, but more the fact that it will potentially be sitting in my life for a very long time. And the anxiety of all the collective material things accumulating in my life gives me unease for some reason. I feel this way less so with houseplants, and perhaps that's why I have so many of them. Because they have a natural life cycle, and I think on some level they'll return to the earth eventually. On a purely visual level, they sort of exist as art pieces unto themselves, like breathing, expiring, living sculptures. Well, here we are at the very last page. I'm so glad I was able to complete this sketchbook, and thanks for keeping me company while I did. See you next time.